Blue Ivy joining Beyoncé on stage as a new green dancer, one thing. Seeing her grow into this confident, self-assured person bodying those moves is another thing. And then having people call that being fast-tailed, well, that's a conversation that affects more people than just whoever happens to be the daughter of Beyoncé. What are we really talking about when we talk about fast or grown girls? Warning, this is a breakneck, fast, brief primer on this. Context matters. Every time we see Blue, age-appropriate clothing, usually in close proximity to a family member. What's being communicated here is longevity and legacy. But people still have big feelings about this. Why? Recently, you may have seen corners of the Beehive explode because this guy, older, middle-aged black guy named Terry, was shoving his camera up in Blue's face and asking her questions about her choreography. People feel protective of their internet niece. People know that the entertainment industry is rough for women in general, but then particularly you add on the whole young black girl thing and people are just afraid. That fear has been affirmed by medical researchers and doctors who specialize in cultural studies because what they're seeing is that there are these really strange statistics around young black girls and sexual abuse. And it gets worse. It's all linked in inextricably to how young black girls are socialized in the United States of America. Now, sociology would define socialization as the process of internalizing ideas and ideologies around you about who you are, what you deserve, and how you are going to be treated. So you learn how people see you, and then you figure out how are you going to navigate that. In certain contexts, that abusive maturity is adopted, and some people will call that fastness. In other contexts, there's like this overcautious, very careful approach to protecting the daughters. These two outcomes that researchers found are because you're dealing with a general anxiety around this sexualization and this maturity that is pushed on young black girls very early on in this society. That socialization did not come out of nowhere. Critically, it's not based in any truth or sociological fact that's inherent to young black girls and their budding sexuality. We have to remember, they're children. So up to the 1990s, the US government has had this particular relationship with young black girls' bodies. The state's posture towards these girls for centuries was one of extraction and exploitation, not protection. Only in the late civil rights era were you starting to get judges and juries and people to really consider the fact that young black women were capable of being assaulted or raped. You could not classify that prior as that because you would have to assume and believe that the law gave and granted these young black women agency and autonomy over their own bodies. That's a new concept, right? The origin of the American economy through enslavement depended on unmitigated male access to black female bodies, especially young ones. Why? Because the business plan depended on it. In 1800, Congress says, hey, if we catch anybody internationally transporting the cargo of slaves, we're going to stop them. But it wasn't until 1808 when they really put an end to that, right? So where are you going to get new slaves? If you can't purchase these people from the global slave market, you have to make them at home. So in the American state, this assault is not assault, it's just business. But how do you disguise it? Well, you have to make the black girl someone who is naturally like that, animalistic, someone who wants it anyways, right? Because what you have still running around are these very evolved ideas about purity, goodness, and chastity, but you're not practicing them. You're only practicing them with certain women. If you've seen Shonda Rhimes' reworked version of Bridgerton, you will see, even in this fictional setting, that there are ladies and people who are classed into honor and protection, and then everyone else is fair game. Little black girls have routinely been, throughout American mainstream media, aged up. You could even look at the political cartoons that were running when Dwight D. Eisenhower was running for president, and what it would show is like this little black girl who had a pregnant belly with lots of other little babies running around her, saying that she was ready for Eisenhower because those policies were exactly in line with her nature. People would collect various postcards or adorable little pictures of young black girls that were pregnant or were sexually available or whatever, because it fed into this mythology that they are available, they are up for grabs. Black communities, aware of the danger that they were literally swimming in, had to really over-police and protect their daughters because they knew that they were some of the only people who actually cared about what happened to them. It's understandable that some people could look at Blue Ivy and go, she has the money, she has the power that very few Black women have ever been afforded to be safe and to not be consumed in any way. So her choosing to take a global stage, it can be triggering because it is also a reminder that once that image and that vision goes out there, there can be a lack of control. And people, of course, feel protective. But on the other hand, these accusations and these conversations where we pick apart her clothes and ask if it's grown or not, if it's sexualized or not, is also part of the problem. In all of these photos, we just see a teenager in a teenager's body wearing clothes that fit her. They're not inherently sexual or dangerous. Her body just existing and being out there is not her being fast or grown. If anyone is looking at her and sexualizing her, that is on them. Banning Blue from the stage or preventing her from starting a dance career is not necessarily the answer to this problem. It doesn't protect her, it just affirms that her body is the problem and her body is bad and she will be safe if she is kept hidden away. This, of course, feeds into the whole idea that the Black woman's body in itself is inherently Jezebel, temptress, and seductive. I am sure that Beyonce's team and their bodyguards are taking every step they can to protect her. But what could hurt Blue is not necessarily what people do to her, but the social story that we choose to tell about her body. We can't blame that on her. We have to blame that on the social narrative and the socialization. Is it understandable that there are certain clothing types being sold for children that are not childlike? Yes, and you could say, I'm not paying for that with my own money. But again, we can't fall into this trap that what your children wear has anything to do with what happens to them. And calling little Black girls fast is a white supremacist myth. Because you're just either talking then about victims of abuse exhibiting signs of grooming or children who are just being children. And as they say, if your child has to wear long pants around a certain uncle, the uncle is the problem, not the shorts. We haven't seen the end of this, and this deserves a much closer sociological breakdown, including how it's been seen across pop culture. So next week.